We're happy to see so many of you joining us here discussing the possibility that Open 311 interface can offer to the cities. And unfortunately, Tom Steinberg could not make it, but we still have here Michael Evans, who barely made it with all the flight cancellations from Boston, from New Urban Mechanics. So we're happy to have him here. And then we have Jaakko Rajaniemi from the city of Helsinki and Valter Ferreira from the city of Lisbon. And we are, for most of us, for three of us, this is the continuation of 2-day workshops for the CitySDK project, where we are developing interoperable open interfaces in European cities. And it's exciting, or for us, it's really exciting opportunity to share our enthusiasm on this topic with all of you and focus especially on the participation domain, and like I mentioned, the Open 311 interface and opportunities that it gives us. And we will hear from 3 cities, their experiences. They are all in a bit different stage in the process on implementing the interface. And I think it kind of portrays all kind of different challenges and possibilities that arise from it. And before I introduce the participants more in detail and hand on the floor to them, I go through a short intro to the topic if there are some of you who are not so familiar with it yet. So as we all know, in the past, most of us have communicated with our cities using letters or faxes or call centers or even maybe online forms, but even those are quite difficult to find from the city website, and it's often difficult to know which department is responsible for which issue and so on. And on the other hand, we have social media creating new kind of opportunities for communication, but also it creates a lot of expectations from citizen side on more faster reaction and more updates from the city side as well. And most of us, of course, want to provide the feedback digitally because we are connected to the internet constantly using our mobiles or tablets and internet laptops and so on. And even though the internet is really big enabler of the digital feedback, like I mentioned, mobile phones, I think, are one of the ways to take even more steps to ways to have this communication channel going 2 ways to the city and being a part of our everyday life. And even though 46% of our time that we use on mobile goes to this so-called me time, which includes relaxation and entertainment purposes, we still use 22% of our time to discover, prepare, and accomplish things. And a lot of our communication with the cities go to this same category as well. And in the future, we will not just use our mobiles to buy tram tickets, but also discuss the accuracy of the tram lines. Or even check out our children from the daycare with them. We will be growingly consuming public services using mobile and internet and taking a role as active citizens using them, like here in Boston and previously in Chicago, where they are adopting fire hydrants to keep them clear from snow and ice during the winter. So we have now the tools and motivation to speak up. Often we review restaurants or, like I mentioned, discuss the tram lines and the public transport connections. But is our voice really being heard in the other end, or is it just lost in the digital space? How can we actually enable citizens to give feedback that matters? So, as we have seen, there's a lot of open data that was discussed within Anthony Townsend's presentation as well. But then when we look at these systems that offer 2-way feedback channel, it's a lot slower, the development. And there are often flashy ways to provide feedback, but when you send the feedback, it actually just disappears to this black box called info at. And here we believe that an interface can do a great deal. There's already more than 35 cities in the States and the city of Bonn in Europe who have implemented Open 311 interface, which actually, well, it goes by the name GeoReport v2, but we are more knowing it publicly called Open 311. And the name has come from these non-emergency call centers that can be in the States reached by calling to the number 311. And often these calls deal with digital infrastructure, road signs, potholes, and so on, but the interface is actually supporting sending of this kind of reports using with an image and location details to the reporter and to the city, and it keeps the reporter updated with the status updates while the city is fixing the issue. And what it enables, as it is a standard, we can have more variety of apps and services, and we can make really giving these issue reports part of our everyday life, and citizens can decide which apps or services they find more useful for this purpose. And like I mentioned, the status, oops, sorry, I had some problem. So like here in Chicago, where a citizen finds a traffic signal that has gone out, and they report it to the city, and they can keep following up the status of their report until the issue is being fixed. And like I mentioned, we in CitySDK project, we are bringing this Open 311 interface to European cities, which are seen here, Amsterdam, Barcelona, Lisbon, Rome, Lamia, Manchester, and Helsinki. And there are, of course, also other European cities that are planning to take the same step with us. And now we will be hearing the more detailed experiences from New Urban Mechanics in Boston, where Michael Evans is working as a civic tech evangelist, as Nigel Jacob likes to call him, or designer and developer, as he seems himself. So maybe we hand the floor to you now.
Hey guys. So I'm Michael. I'm Michael from New Urban Mechanics, and I'm a designer and developer in Boston. So New Urban Mechanics is like this civic innovation incubator in Boston, and we're embedded in the mayor's office. I just wanted to show you everything that we're doing with Open 311 in the city. So the first thing is there's this app called Citizens Connect that we started developing in 2007 alongside with other things like SeeClickFix. And basically it's a citizen reporting app, and it lets people report things like potholes and graffiti directly to the city. We're using Open 311, which is this API to allow developers to seamlessly interact with the city to report, graffiti or potholes directly to departments like the Public Works Department in Boston. And so the next thing that we started doing last year was we're doing this thing called Commonwealth Connect. So it's spreading Open 311 across the entire state of Massachusetts. And it's going to allow smaller towns to report quality of life problems throughout the state. So the next thing that we use Open 311 with is an app called Street Bump, and it's a mobile app that lets you that uses your phone's accelerometer to map potholes around your city. So it's this idea of like using citizens as sensors, but the app is actually really sensitive, and it maps all kinds of inconsistencies in the road. And we're working with researchers at Harvard to come up with an algorithm to refine all the data. But ultimately, Open 311 is going to be used to report potholes directly to the Public Works Department. But it's not like directly reporting it like through an app like Citizens Connect. It just kind of does it on the fly. So the next thing and the last thing is we're building a thing called the 311 dashboard, which takes the deluge of 311 data and tries to translate it into a clean and interactive dashboard to identify 311 trends around the city. It was a project that I started at Code for America. It was designed at a design firm called Stamen, and we're implementing it at New Urban Mechanics. So the first thing I kind of wanted to talk about with that is, this is sort of a tangent, but there's this guy in the United States, Jack Dorsey, who is the founder of Twitter and the founder of Square. And so Square is this thing in the US that lets you accept credit cards on your phone. You just swipe, you attach this thing to your phone and you swipe your credit card to accept payments. So it's a very data intensive business. And he has this morning routine that he tweeted about in like 2010. So in the morning, he runs, he showers, he has tea, he checks his Square dashboard, and then he does everything else. So we were thinking, what if city administrators could do that? And what if developers could help cities build, awesome analytics tools with the help of Open 3.1 to allow city administrators and super citizens to check how quickly are their cities responding to problems. So I just wanted to show you some mock-ups. It doesn't really look like this anymore, but this is a little mock-up that shows like average response times on particular city blocks in the city of San Francisco. And San Francisco has Open 3.1. So that's the first thing, the first mock-up. The second mock-up, so this is looking at service request trends in Russian Hill, which is a neighborhood in San Francisco. So you're looking at like the top service requests that are reported and the average response times and whatever else. And then the final thing, this is just like a heat map of report density in San Francisco. It looks, well, whatever. So you can sort of see like just where requests really popular in the city. And that's it.
Okay, hello everybody. My name is Jaakko Rajaniemi, and I work for the city of Helsinki. And I will tell you a story that what we have been doing for the last 1 year on this area. And 1 year ago, we started to think about building an interface to our feedback management system. Okay, sorry. And typically, sorry, is this on? Is this on? Oh, yeah, okay, I have to be closer. Typically, when cities start to do these kind of things, there's one choice: they define the interface themselves, or the vendor does it, because there's no existing standards typically in this area, and so that there's no examples of open standards, and then also civil servants, we don't have time to follow what's happening around the world. And typically when we find something, or the vendor finds something, they think that they can do better. So they build own interface. But we were also participating in the CitySDK, and we thought that if we design something ourselves, it doesn't work. There's an existing standard already available, so we selected this Open 3.1. And here are the basic reasons. Well, there's obvious reasons for selecting Open 3.1 and having an open interface in general, that you can have more applications, more services that can access your systems and send feedback to the city, and we can respond. So you can have images, location in the feedback also, so it's a big improvement into our system. But I would say that the main reason why we chose Open 3.1, it's bigger than our own feedback interface if we would have selected that, because there's more applications, more tools for that. We saw these kind of dashboards. There's more experts. I can talk to these kind of events because there's other cities who are also using these. And in general, there's more knowledge and cities to collaborate on this topic. So this is the picture from last month. We started the pilot. We were celebrating the handling of the first issue report. So this is quite new thing for us, and this is what we actually have done or currently is that we are here is the basic use case that there's something broken like a fence, and the citizen reports that to the city system. But we are collaborating currently with the local news site called Metro, and they have their own Fix My Street kind of service, and people can report to that site, news site, and then from that news site, when they see that there's a report that needs to go to the city, they forward that to the city system with this interface, and now it's in the city personnel is now handling the system, and then he thinks she looks at the issue report and thinks that okay, we need to fix this, and he moves that to the public works department, which does the job in Helsinki, and then we have the actual people who go to the field and fix the problems, and now it's fixed, and in the end we have the happy citizen who can follow the whole process and see that okay, now it actually fixed, and this is the current state that we are having. That we are having this interface for these kind of Fix My Street kind of things, but our system is such that we are also looking for other use cases like connecting to other departments, healthcare, education, or there's other ideas that typical citizens have questions and about topics. We could perhaps use this kind of interface to build something, or for example, we could fix data. We are providing open data, and there's something that's not correct. You could send corrections via, for example, using this kind of interface. And of course, we will like to open this as soon as possible to other people to use. I don't know if I have more time, but now we are in the phase, I guess, to start learning that when we get service requests in, we start to see that what kind of requests there are and what kind of issues there are. So first of there's an example of trash bin, and first thing to notice that people may put these things into the locations that are not very clear. They put into the crossroads, and there may be a bridge over the street, and you are not sure is it under a bridge or over the bridge or on the bridge. And in this case, the actual location was wrong, 2 kilometers in the end. And the story goes forward, and this trash bin, which looks very, all trash bins looks like that in Helsinki, but that trash bin is not handled by the city. It's handled by the private property owner next to this trash bin, and these kind of strange rules exist in Helsinki, but still people are reporting on these issues, and maybe we should somehow help them understand that these kind of this trash bin is not handled by the city, or change the rules, or do something, improve the ways we handle these. And there's other example of wastewater lead that was reported that it's open, that somebody should take care of that and put it in place, and then there was people going to that place and they didn't find the lead at all. And then later I went to the same location with Google Street Map or Street View, and there was exactly in the point there is a lead, wastewater lead, or the hole, but our city personnel couldn't find it, and they wasted a couple of 20-30 minutes, and we should have this kind of information available. I would say that this kind of infrastructure information available for citizens, but also we need to start using that ourselves. Okay, I think that I will close the presentation here. So, thank you. Okay.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for your presence here today. First of all, allow me to congratulate FutureEverything for the amazing event we are having. Thank Hanna for the invitation to give me this opportunity to show Lisbon experience and fix my street. Thank Rui that is seated in front and his team for developing the Fix My Street, and thank Sandra and Susanna that took precious time of hers yesterday to deliver me some print screens and some data to show you guys today. So, does these pictures I'm showing to you guys look familiar? If yes, you are in the right conference. If not, please stay, because one day they will be part of your life. You will probably all see some things like that and try to find a way to report it. What would you do? You pick up your phone, try to reach the service in the city that would fix it, or you send an email, or you send a letter, or you just complain to your neighbor next door and, well, everything normally would stay the same. But that was something that we started to think in how to change in September 2009. Long time ago, as you may see. We started in our simplification program, and that is someone that strongly believe that we must co-create, we must be co-responsible, that you, the citizens, are our eyes in the street. You are the ones that can make the difference. You are the ones that have to make the red lights lighting to show us there's a problem there. You need to fix it. It's your job to fix it. Is your job, ours as officials, your job as citizens to inform us and be more demanded with us. You have to be demanded if you want us to do the job you choose us to do. So in September 2009, using Microsoft Silverlight, ArcGIS maps, Bing as the main map, we started with our Niemi-Hugaerts, something like you could say, on my street. But there was some limitations with it. And by limitations, I mean, it's in the other slide, sorry for that. But by limitations, the platform wasn't that stable. You only can access it via web, because Silverlight, you have to install a plugin. So if you are in your office and you don't have administration permits, you will not be able to use it. There was a few lacks in it that we have to correct. But before that, allow me to show how does the process works. You, the citizen, report via web only in your laptop, in your desktop, laptop, whatever, if you have access to Microsoft Silverlight. Otherwise, sorry, use your phone, please. Then it was analyzed by a control center, and then some local inspector would go to the spot to check it's true, it's not true, how can we solve it, how much does it cost. Let's do it in a time frame. Then it was solved, and then the citizen would have an answer saying it's solved, it's not solved because it's solved, it's not a true situation because. So like I was saying, there was main problems, the performance of the website, the multiple entry points, because, okay, this was at that time just one more entry point, not the entry point as it is today. So in 2010 or 2010, we decided to give another step. And what did we did? We put it in Flash. Stop using Microsoft Silverlight, and it was Flash. We don't use Bing no more. Use our own maps, our own ArcGIS maps, and the servers are more stable. Now you can access in real time, deliver the report, and so on. But even though we want more, we are not satisfied with what we had back then. We want more. Because, okay, from the citizen side, the problem is, let's say, 60% solved. But from the internal side, we have to manage these loads of information. It's easy to report now, but how can we, inside the city hall, manage the situation to deliver what you guys demand? Because as again, you are our focus. We don't build services to be easy for us to do the work. We do services because you demand us to do it, because you are the reason why we are there. That's why we improved the performance again. We simplified the platform. Now there are no more pop-ups, no more data appearing from nowhere. It's faster, it's easier, it's intuitable, it's very easy to use. We simplified the feedbacks, no more complex answers like the situation wasn't solved because service XPTO did an intervention there last week and they called Y and X, and if you want more information you can call another number that is the blah 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 blah, whatever complex answers that we sometimes delivered, and well, it's just a kick to the front to give us more time, let's say it. No more answers like that. And we improve internal workflows. There's a team that manages the information. That team is responsible for go to the street and find if it's true, to deliver it in person, let's say by email or whatever, the information to the operational team that has to solve the problem. That operational team got SLAs arranged with the control center, let's call it that way, to deliver the information, the problem solved, and so on. And why did we did this in 2011? Why did we did this aggregation? Because again, multiple channels. Now, if you send an email, you will have an auto reply saying, "Please go to on my street and report it." Otherwise, it could last longer because we have to do the report ourselves. And if you and you in the back as well do it, well, you can see it's official, inserting 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever, you can count it, information. If you guys do it on your own, yourselves, it's 111. So it's easier for the service to act, it's faster. We have multiple reports, that's what I was saying, and an organized action, because, well, if you send an email for the On My Street team, okay, it's easy, it's on the spot. If you send it to, let's say, urban regeneration, saying that you have someone dropped something out in the street, some couch or some heavy materials in the street, urban regeneration would say, what? What can I do with this? This is not useful information for me. I have to send it to another team will send it to another. No. Now you just go into On My Street and all the information flows to the same channel, to the same team. Sorry for the Portuguese in this slide, but how did we manage to achieve this high level of service that we deliver now? So we have the external data that comes from the internet straight into my street and then straight into our internal workflow. You have the ones that come from phone or presential. It's our one-stop shop using a British concept. And they go into our internal workflow anyway. And you got emails or letters or whatever that comes into any service within the city hall. And they go straight to the internal workflow. This workflow works beneath On My Street, and therefore they are clearly connected. So there's only one channel of entrance within the municipality. This is a print screen of Fix My Street. As you can see, the green dots here represent situations that are already solved. Yellow dots represent situations under analyze. Red dots situations that had been just put it in the system a few minutes ago. Well, let's say a few minutes ago, yesterday. And some situations that we haven't been the time to check. The gray ones are the ones that were still loading when I did the print screen. And if you zoom it out, you will have big data aggregates like 300, 1,000 or something. They aggregate the data that is in that specific area. It's a three steps way to do the report. You have just to identify the spot, say which kind of issue you are reporting, and click submit. Well, you can upload a photo and then you have 4 steps, but normally it's 3 steps to talk to us. In the other end, our officials will have some kind of report like this with the green and yellow lights as well, the number of the request and the subject, if it's answered, if it's not answered. And before I fly to Manchester, I was testing this issue in some tablets with Windows 8, for instance, and I took the inspection to the street to see if you can do it on spot. So you, in the next few weeks, citizens will have the answer as just in time. As we fix it, you got the answer. Your problem was fixed. And if the inspector, for instance, spot another thing that must be reported near that spot he can report it as well. So some data, interesting data, more than 10,000 reports were made since January 2013, sorry, not 12. It was 2 o'clock in the morning, so. Top 3 issues. Trees and green areas, falling trees. It's winter, it's normal that some trees and branch from trees fall, and there are many reports about it. Public lighting. There's are huge problems with public lighting, some streets without lights, and well, they report that a lot. And objects pickup. By objects pickup, we are speaking about objects that people misleave in the streets by, well, it's night, no one is seeing, let's put the fridge, let's put everything out in the streets. And just to finish, the future. The future will be integrate this with the interface that Jaakko and Hanna and all Forum Vitri and all the team of CitySDK is developing about Open 311 interface and CitySDK. And that would be extremely easy to you guys who develop can create things that will improve our efficiency, improve our way to co-create, and easier citizens' life. That's our main goal, easier citizens' life. Let's hope that you can easily access your iPhone or your BlackBerry Z10 or whatever and just report the issue because you got a word of mine. We will solve it. Thank you so much for your attention.
Okay. Okay. So before I open it to the questions from the audience, I would like to hear more about the future, your visions. How is this going to change the relationship between the citizens and the cities? And are there some obstacles that we have to first overcome for your vision related to the Open 311 use to be able to reach?
You can go first. I think you got fun on that one.
Hey. I don't know. I think the thing with 311 in the United States, which is all I have experience with, is that so New York City is like a true 311 city. They market the hell out of it, and you see it in every taxi cab. It's 311. You have an issue, just report it through 311. You just don't see that anywhere else. I mean, you don't see it in Boston. You don't see it in San Francisco. And the reason that is the case in New York City is that Mayor Bloomberg has put his weight behind it. And 311 is viewed as an essential service there. So, you know, when Hurricane Sandy happens or any other sort of thing, they make sure that 311 is running and under any circumstance. And it's almost as important as 911, which is, you know, emergency management. I don't know if you guys have that here, but so versus what happens in San Francisco where, you know, maybe there's like some emergency or whatever, 311 isn't, you know, they don't really care if it continues to run. 311 almost becomes more of like an emergency management type of system, and people get reallocated, whatever. So I guess that's the big thing for me in the future is that cities just start taking this like much more seriously.
Okay, well, we are in a different situation, but I think that at least Helsinki is very excited about this new thing that finally we can start to show for the people that what city is actually doing. Currently, people don't know what we do, and they probably think that all people working for the city are pretty lazy people, and they don't do much. But now, I think that I know that they aren't. They are pretty hardworking people, and now this is a way to communicate to the people that if you submit issues to the city, we will actually do something about that, and you can watch and monitor. We are transparent about what we are doing, and that's a big change. And there was a lot of talk beforehand that would we like to do that show that what we can do and what we can't, but the end result has been that this is what we want to do, and want to increase that, and then hope that people start talking about these things and start using, and maybe they will actually also start to think about when they do certain things, for example, that break something in the city or something like that, that it costs money and somebody has to fix it.
Well, how do we see the future? That's a huge question. I think I have to throw some tarot chart and try to find it, but now we don't get no kidding anymore. I think you guys sitting here, those who develop and those who are citizens that participate actively in the city's management, you are the future. And Open 311 opens a door to that future. It opens a door to developers who can create more in a single way. They know how to create. They can increase their expertise level by creating in the same way in a standard. And I think CitySDK is the key to that door. We give you the key. Use it wisely. It's what we ask. To the citizens, the future, it will be easy to interact with us, and we have to be committed with the citizens, saying, okay, we are asking you to work with us, so be sure we're going to be doing our job, because this will increase our accountability, will increase our transparency, and will increase our responsibility. Ask more from us. It's my last call for you guys.
Questions from the audience? I see some hands being. Will somebody pass the mic, or is this the only?
Yeah, just sorry. Can I go? Yeah. Thanks for that. I've listened to similarly the stuff on Fix My Street, if you've heard of that, and other initiatives looking to the same sort of reporting system, and there seems to be very well developed alternative initiatives with that. And I think the interesting thing about 311 is the possibility for this response channel. And that's not to say let's not just generate loads of information about what's wrong. Let's have this conversation about how it's fixed and how fixed it might be, and the coordination of that. And it's particularly the coordination that I'd like to ask about. So there was a beer commercial in the UK years ago about, I think it was a beer commercial about where several utilities companies got together to put the holes in the road at the same time to fix the street, saving the public much inconvenience. And the joke was, of course, that the undertakers thought they might get on the act too. And I wondered whether you saw any potential in the 311 standard, either the data or the process behind it, for actually coordinating responses in that way. So maybe less about the sort of responding to a certain issue, but in terms of sort of planning or maybe coordinating, realising that several issues are actually symptomatic of the same problem. A water main needs fixing somewhere else, even though it's not where the pins are on the map. That sort of level of response.
Hi. Okay. So I think the thing that you're kind of getting at is what we're trying to do with the 301 dashboard, which is trying to figure out like service request trends and like figure out where's like the most graffiti and street light and like broken street lights. Is that kind of what you're getting at? Yeah. Okay. So Boston kind of does that. I think the city that's sort of a leader in that is New York City. So there's this guy, Mike Flowers, who's the director of analytics there. And there's also Chicago, this guy, Brett Goldstein. And they're just doing a ton to really just analyze just, I guess, where, God damn it. Just like the density of service requests and where are things most broken. But it's still sort of like really early days for cities to do that, and especially in the United States, they're not analyzing data the way that most businesses analyze data. It's not terribly sophisticated yet.
Well, in Helsinki we don't have any analytics on this, but I would say that the one benefit of having this kind of standard is that whatever they are doing in the USA, these kind of 311 dashboards, or there's other these kind of services, that it should be very easy for us to take those also into use and put our data in there, because we are using the same standard and see and start learning. So that's really the benefit of having this standard.
Answering not as the point of view of Open 311, because we are not using it yet. We have analyzed our data, even this data are showing it's in our open data set repository, so there are data sets with this data, and we normally analyze to do clusters of principal issues, areas of the city, which principal issue is more used among each kind of parish and so on. This is quite good data for governmental programs, for instance, to understand citizens' needs. So yes, the issue should not be in the reporting, should be in how we use the data that we collect, for sure. And now just ask you something. When you do a question, please raise in order we can see our faces, because we can't from here, sorry.
If I understood your comment correctly, I think also other open data can help, so we can combine the data on the road constructions and so on, and avoid unnecessary issue reports on issues that actually are not, like there's nothing to be fixed, it's just somebody's already working on it. Or is this what you were referring to? Yeah, I think. Yeah. I think we have still time for one more question. There was in the back. Yeah, please go ahead.
Hi. Hello. Thanks very much. It was really great to get three perspectives from three very different cities. It's a shame Manchester's not included on the panel, because we're piloting it here as well, as I understand.
Yeah, you are in the process of getting to the piloting, we are hoping.
I've got loads of questions. Can I ask two? And maybe not everyone has to respond to all of them. Is that all right? The first one was how are you using this to influence and inform things at a strategic level? So I'm thinking around resourcing and budget setting. I imagine that Lisbon's probably further along in the process. So perhaps you have more experience of how you're integrating this within strategic planning at a city level. And the second thing was, what about, I mean, this is great from a sort of infrastructure perspective, but what about the more human dimensions and aspects of city life? Health and well-being, welfare, education. Can we see a role for this kind of mechanism to help generate feedback between citizens and the city, and service providers from public, private, non-for-profit sectors around the delivery of services around that have social value as well as being just about the infrastructure?
I can read it first. Yes. So yes, we are using this data to inform and do some strategic planning. For instance, our framework of participation is quite huge. We got a participatory budgeting that comes from this kind of information, because it's not just about reporting, it's about maintenance, it's about how issues are done. For instance, last May 2011, we restructured our way of working by dividing the city in 5 areas, and these 5 clusters of the city are oriented for their problems. And how did we get to those problems? By analyzing this data, by analyzing the citizens reported. So this is strategical for sure, and we are using it, and we will be keeping using it. It will again be in your hands to give us accurate data that we can use.
Just comment about this, how to use the feedback input. That's something that we are currently thinking that how, when we get feedback, that how we should use that more and influence our decisions that how we operate. But actually, it's not very well used in Helsinki. But currently, we are developing these kind of reporting tools that how we know what is happening in the city, and also we would like to others outside the city when we give this data to show that what's happening, what's wrong, what's good in Helsinki, and then try to take that information into the decision. But it's not very easy to use that. But there are examples currently that for example, when we get snow and we get a lot of snow reports, and there are small roads that are reporting all the time that they are not snow plowing, and because all the main roads are done first. That's how the city has decided. But now the thing has been that okay, maybe we are doing it wrongly, because it may be that there are some roads that we are not snow plowing at all during the winter. So people start using that to redefine the routes of the snow plows.
Okay. Yeah. Well, one more example, then we are kind of wrapping it.
I was remembering here, so just to give you an example how we can use this information in changing strategic and planning. There was an area of the city that people keep complaining about the pavement of that street. It was a 2-way street with no sidewalk, but people have to cross that road to go to the subway station. So 1 report, 2 reports, 3 reports, several reports. What did we decide to do? Well, we can't go there and fix the pothole again. No, that's not the solution. Let's create conditions to people to can circulate there with the cars. So by those reportings, we change the road. We put 1-way road, and the cars that go down go to another road, and we built a sidewalk. That's how we can use this data to plan, to change, and to make it happen.
Yeah, and to take on to that and to finish it off, to make it happen, we are continuing on this topic in the white room upstairs after the coffee break. I think there's our open Etherpad address if you want to go and list some topics you would like to be discussed there if you are planning to join us there. So openetherpad.org/open311. So please go and add your comments there. And I would like to thank the panelists. It was nice to hear your experiences, and I think it inspired many other people here to demand it to your cities as well, I hope. And thank you for the audience and active questions. Thank you.